Marco, Donald, Ted, John, we will not solve any of these problems by trying to destroy each other. What we need to do is be looking for solutions tonight. It's not about us, it's about the American people.
An early moment in the debate, as a matter of fact, the first opening statement delivered by Dr. Ben Carson. And he came with a challenge to his fellow candidates, not to engage in attacks on each other, but to find solutions. Perhaps a bit of a pipe dream in a debate like the debate that went on tonight in Houston, where so much was at stake, but certainly it reinforced the image of Dr. Carson as being an outsider seeking solutions. Let's continue our conversation from New York City with the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey, and from San Antonio, Texas, Joe Pags, the nationally syndicated radio talk host. Betsy, you made the point earlier that this was really a debate within a debate. Donald Trump and the two young senators, Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, because they're the top three in the polls, and Dr. Carson and my old congressional colleague, John Kasich, now the governor of Ohio, kind of limited to bystander status. As you have watched the give and take among the top three, what is your overall impression?
Well, they're all out to get one another tonight. Of course, Donald Trump, since he has such a very strong lead, really isn't initiating attacks on the others. He's fending off attacks from the two senators. But actually what I found annoying about the debate is how the CNN moderators tried to pit one candidate against another. It's to be expected that the candidates will come up on the stage with a few attack lines, but the questions posed by CNN seem to foster even more of that kind of attack. I'm sympathetic to Ben Carson. You know, he's really running for pastor-in-chief now rather than president. And everybody likes him. He's a wonderful, dignified, insightful man. But you have to expect some attacks among these leading candidates.
Well, Joe, after all, it is a debate and it is a competition, so it is not a high-minded essay about the future of America, though you do offer policy positions. But I'm just curious about the dynamic that unfolded tonight, where you have the two senators. Obviously, they have to go after Trump because he is the front runner, and the two senators, well-versed in public policy, but Donald Trump with the gift of the snappy rejoinder. How did that play out as you watched it, Joe?
What was interesting, JD, is that they weren't really going after each other, and I think that they probably could. If one senator could get the other senator out, the one remaining has a really good chance of getting closer to Donald Trump in the polls. Instead, it was almost like the two of them teamed up in tandem against Donald Trump. And I think you hit the nail on the head. What you just said was exactly right. You've got two guys who are very well versed in debating, very well versed in policy, very well versed in how the government works because they're in the government, although Cruz is an outsider, Rubio more establishment. And then you've got Trump, who's just, he's almost like swatting flies. It was kind of interesting to watch, left and right, and he's got these guys on either side. I'll be honest with you, my radio show got over after the debate started. So once I turned it on, I thought that Carson and Kasich weren't on the stage. It was focused on those three, and it really did appear to be two guys against the middle, and Trump just sort of shrugged them off. And that's sort of what he's done this entire campaign since June, and it's been very successful. It's very, very interesting to see it unfold.
Betsy, you lamented the approach of CNN. In my congressional office, and maybe in your days in elective office as Lieutenant Governor of New York, my press guy used to come in and say, oh, now we see the kind of article they're trying to go for. It's, let's have you two guys fight. And yet, that is what a debate is about. But to Donald Trump and his persona, though it is demeaned as one from a reality TV show, did you get the same impression Joe had, as if Donald was there kind of swatting at flies and almost pests?
He seems to be above it all. He has enormous popularity, and he's hammering away at the issues that people care about. They're losing their jobs to Mexico, China, Japan, Korea. They want growth in this economy. They want to close the border, and that's what he's focused on. And America is responding.
Joe, my old congressional colleague, who was the 2008 Libertarian nominee, Bob Barr of Georgia, remarked today that Donald's campaign seems remarkably devoid of policy. Now, Betsy mentioned fair trade, we could call it, but it's as if Donald puts in those statements. He makes a bold aspirational statement, then doesn't go through chapter and verse, and yet for his supporters, and given the format of this debate, it seems to work pretty well for him. About a minute here, Joe.
Well, what's interesting about it is, and I interviewed his son Eric a couple of days ago. I asked him that very question, JD, and the question was, your dad isn't giving specifics. He's not giving policy. He's saying, I'll get the best lawyers. I'll get the best trade people. I'll get the best health people. I'll get the best transportation people surrounding me. Trust me, we'll do it. We'll make America great again. And I got to be honest with you, the average everyday American who's going to work and humping it every day, working 50, 60, 70 hours a week to pay for stuff around their house, they want to hear somebody say, we are great. We are exceptional. We're a great nation. And I'm going to bring that back. And oh, by the way, look at the $10 billion in personal wealth I have. I must have done something right. You could probably trust that I'll surround myself with pretty good people. I think generalities right now at this point still do work. And Rubio and Cruz probably aren't helping much by giving specifics to those who aren't really ready for them yet.
Yeah, we can deride a soundbite culture, but it obviously has to work in this type of debate format. Listen, we appreciate the observations from you both. We ask you to stay right where you are, and you at home, please stay where you are, because a little later tonight, we're going to be joined by a very special guest. Former Republican presidential candidate Mike Huckabee will be in to weigh in on what he saw, and you're seeing Newsmax TV coverage of tonight's Republican debate. Back with more right after this.